All right, guys. So outside right now. It's a Saturday, so I'm off of work, just around my apartment complex, and I'm just gonna go for a quick walk. Or maybe not so much of a quick walk, but I'm gonna go for a walk around here and just uh, get some fresh air, walk around, get some sunshine. The weather is cool, but it's not anything unbearable. So um, yeah, why don't we take a walk around my apartment complex? Um, this video is going to be, pretty off the cuff. So I'm just going to talk about, whatever is kind of on my mind. Um, you know, if you watched, I think uh, last video or the video before the last video, I think I titled it "A Moment of Vulnerability," right? I'm just talking about like some of the, um, you know, some of the some of the hard shit that's been going on, right? But yeah, I'm a tough guy. I'm a pretty tough guy, so I can stomach it. It's no problem. Things will eventually get better. But one of the things that funny enough, is helpful for me is to just talk to the video camera. Make posts on YouTube. Not only because it does it like work as a good kind of like journal for myself, but of course maybe if there's somebody out there who's going and struggling, going through hard times themselves, when they look at my video, they might not feel so alone. Maybe something I say, whether that's advice or just knowing somebody out there on the world is also not feeling on top of the world. Um, if that can help somebody out, then like that's awesome. That's great. But anyways, this video, I think I might end up like rambling a little bit. Who knows what I'm going to talk about? Who knows how long this video is going to be? Also, what do you guys think of my haircut? I think it looks a little bit cleaner. I think it looks pretty all right. It's pretty cool, right? But also chewing some gum, so hopefully that doesn't get too annoying from the audio if you hear me keep like smacking my lips and teeth and stuff like that. But anyways, yeah, I guess here. Well, what should I talk about? You know, as I said, things in life can be pretty difficult. These last 3 years have been, definitely by far the most hard in my life. There have been two times in my life, if I count this one, that I had like pretty hard time. The first one was uh, over 10 years ago. I dropped out of college twice. I dropped out of Texas Tech University. I felt pretty lost. Um, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, so I took a gap year, 3 years, did a lot of odd jobs, and felt like I was falling behind. But later after that, became a much stronger person, and that's a long story in and of itself. But that happened in my late teens, early 20s type of deal, and it made me a much stronger and more mature person. Man, compared to this time, shoot, it's like makes my late teens and early 20s look like a piece of cake, man. Like this time it's of course uh, separated from my wife, right? Now, the very fortunate thing is that you know we're still on excellent terms. We can call each other, talk to each other, and then I'm very glad about that. And again, it was I was the one who left willingly, right? Yeah, left willingly, everything of that sort, initiated it. But still, I think I said in my last video, I'm very glad that I had an amicable, friendly kind of the divorce separation. But the thing is like in a sense, it can make things a bit more painful too, because you know the other person's a good person. Sometimes just two people can't get together for you know circumstantial reasons, or because they'll have different wants and needs in life, which is perfectly normal, perfectly reasonable. But still, it's like, and I wouldn't have divorced any other way, right? Like, what would you rather, divorce or separate? How would you want to, have it where everybody's screaming at each other, yelling at each other, giving each other Hell, of course not. But um, you know, so obviously, definitely, I prefer it this way. But it's still, you still, of course, miss the other person. You want things to be, like internally, you want things to be better, especially, because I have my daughter too. So, you want to be together, you know, as a family and everything like that, right? But again, I'm very appreciative of my ex-wife. She's a really nice person. And I know she feels the same way about me. But sometimes people just are different. They want different things, So, but anyways, what else has been hard, right? So obviously there's that. Um, also, um, of course, as I said in the last video, there's work and stuff, right? So my last job, teaching at the high school I did in the United States, man, it was fun career. But office politics and shit got in the way. Um, admin management on top, they were not not only were they not the best, they were pretty awful, pretty awful. Um, but so like in my regard, I've left that job because I didn't want to be in that, negativity. I didn't want to be in that negativity. It was just a pretty bad environment. So, but still, I left a job that I found a lot of purpose in. I love teaching. I really do. I'm not just saying that. And teaching here in China is pretty fun too. But again, as I said last video, I'd be lying to say if I didn't miss my old job uh, back in the States. But the third thing then, the third thing that's been the hardest um, by far, and what's made this hard period of my life um, worse than the last time for sure. And I'm sorry if the camera's a little bit shaky because my selfie stick is not the most well balanced, or like here I'm doing this on purpose, but yeah, I'm trying to keep it still, guys. But I apologize if like as I walk, camera kind of like drops a little bit. I need to get a better selfie stick. But anyways, the third hardest thing, and what's made the last couple of years um, by far the toughest, has been yeah, my injuries, right? So my right shoulder and my left knee. Um, the good news is that none of it's serious. All of it's going to eventually fully heal. I have bicep tendonitis at the front of the right shoulder. Remember, I got that MRI'd, so like just to show some moderate inflammation there. I have IT band syndrome for my left knee, so like again, inflammation of the fascia there from both of the injuries are from overtraining, years ago. But um, thing is, it's chronic discomfort. It's chronic discomfort, and it's been around for so long, and just takes so damn long to get better. And I don't know how to explain it, but like you know, circumstantial things that suck, right? You lose your job, you lose a relationship, economy is bad, or whatever, right? If you just tweak your mental thoughts, and you just can kind of like think more positively, you can get around those things. It's um, you can convince yourself mentally, hey, things aren't going to be that bad, because it's all kind of esoteric. It's all kind of like um, you know, it's all in your mind, right? You can always quit a job. You can always find a new girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. But the thing is, you can't escape your own body, right? So when you're like chronically uncomfortable, when you're constantly in pain or something like that, that's made the last 3 years of my life tougher than any job, any relationship, any sort of thing could have ever compared to. It's definitely what's made these last 3 years by far the hardest. The good news is that, again, both of these will completely heal. Finally, that left knee for the last, like, a little over 3 months now has finally shown improvement after symptoms have gotten real bad over the last three years. So after 3 years, finally, there's been some improvement, because 3 years it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Finally, there's improvement there. But Man, it's like having everything kind of stack up together at once, like you know, uh, losing a career that, or not career, but a job that you really liked and you were passionate about, losing. And again, I want to preface, I like teaching here in China. I really do, right? It's not a bad gig at all. Again, I got to be truthful and honest to say felt more fulfilled in my job as a teacher back in the United States. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But like losing a job, like job that you like, losing uh, a relationship, right? Well, I didn't lose that relationship. I still get in contact very regularly with my ex-wife. We still have a great relationship, and of course, when my daughter, hey Ari, how's it going? You might be watching this when you get older. When Ari, she wants um, to come and live together with me. If she wants to. Um, my my wife, she's completely okay with it. Um, she still wants to have my daughter have a great relationship with me. Of course, I want to have a great relationship with her too. Both of them actually, because they both deserve it. They deserve the world. Because I know they feel the same way about me. But um, still, it's like you miss your family. As in, it's like like my wife and kid, of course. I miss my career, and I miss not being in chronic discomfort, and I miss being able to train because training is like one of my biggest passions in life. I miss I miss having my old body back, my old physique because I never trained for looks, but I'd be lying to say that like I don't miss the way I looked back when I was able to train. So um, can't see it because of course I have clothes on and whatnot, but still, right? Like I had a hopefully this doesn't sound too pretentious, but I had a really great physique, had a lot of great skills, strength, flexibility, etc. I miss that. Of course, I miss that. It'll all come back with time, you know. Time once things get better. Um, but yeah, I miss all those things. I think what these last 3 years, over 3 years now, of tough times have told me is that, or taught me. Sorry, not told me, but has taught me and is still teaching me is really I think it's taught me two things. Um, I think the first thing is that, man, it's like if you're healthy, if you're healthy, like if you're healthy, you you're really one of the happiest people in the world, man. It's like I would tell you, I'd spend all the money in my savings account right now, um, without even a second's worth of hesitation. I could just have like instantly, magically, my 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 body back, my injuries back. And again, my injuries aren't that serious. But they take a long, long time to heal, and it's just chronically uncomfortable. It's just you're always in that discomfort, always in that pain, and it's again, don't worry too much about me because it's not so debilitating to where I can't go to sleep or anything like that. But it's like when you're chronically uncomfortable, you can't do what you want to do. You no matter how optimistic you are as a person, no matter how much you want to be positive, no matter how much what you want to accomplish in life, if you're uncomfortable, if you're sick, if you're chronically in pain, you can't do those things. You can't enjoy life. You can't do the things that you want to do. So from these last 3 years, I've really learned, like, man, everything else in life, whether that's you like a relationship goes wrong, feel like you don't earn enough money, um, you know, if it's that you miss home, or if like you feel like you didn't get enough into a good enough university, your grades aren't good enough, if you feel like you can't have a job that you like enough, or whatever, because people go through all sorts of type of type of type of bullshit in life. um, what I've learned is all that is such a small deal. It's really such a small deal in hindsight, because as long as you have your health, man, as long as you're healthy, you can always restart. You can always do something more. You can always enjoy life, because all those other things, if I can think those things away. If I lose a job, you know, I can just think more positively. Go off to Starbucks or something and sit down, drink a coffee, and just forget about it. Right? Just forget about it. I can always get a new job. I can always get a new girlfriend. I can always, get a new career, new job. I can always, you know, try something else, right? Because that's easy. But if it's your body against you, no matter what you do, you can't escape it. You're a victim to yourself, and no matter how you try to change or frame things mentally, no matter how you try to do whatever, you can't change that. So it's like you're a victim of your own body, and you're always just chronically in pain or uncomfortable. No matter how you try to trick yourself mentally, or convince yourself mentally, or change your mental psyche, you're still suffering, right? Because it's literally physical pain, right? It'd be like if you got a knife and you just stab it right into your hand, and you go like, "Be happy," right? Just change your mind, be happy. Well, it's not that easy when you have a knife in your hand, right? So, but anyways, the other thing I've learned then, other than just, man, like if you're just healthy, then you're happy. Really, you're like one of the happiest people on the planet if you're just healthy. If you're healthy, then you're happy. The other thing I've learned then is the thing that matters in life, I think, other than just being happy, is like are the people closest to you, really. I don't think things that make people the happiest. And thing is, I've always pretty much held this philosophy, and I've never thought differently. And the last day when I teach students at any school that I'm at, I always give like a short speech, about like more or less talking about this. But this is really, these last 3 years have really enforced that, um, this philosophy, life lesson of mine, which is like, the other than just being healthy, the thing that makes people the most fulfilled and happiest in life, and one of the most important things, is going to be like um, is your relationships with people. I don't think it's going to be money. I don't think it's going to be money. I don't think it's going to be a job. I don't think it's going to be like how nice your house is that you live in. Um, I don't think it's going to be like you know how um, how like all these other kind of like esoteric like things that are nice to have. Don't get me wrong, right? We always want to have more stuff in life. We always want to like improve our self-standing in life. But at the core of it all, the thing that matters the most in life is like, do you have people that care for you, that are there for you, and do you have people that you care for them too, right? Because I'll tell you what, it's like these last 3 years, if it wasn't for like certain people out there that like care for me, that I'm not a sentimental type of guy. I don't like to be like that. Um, so, but I don't mean to like sound like cheesy or like like very, because I don't like being sentimental. It just feels like, well, it feels like uh, very goo goo. Like it's embarrassing, man. I just don't like saying this, but you know, the people that love you are the ones that really are that matter, because life is going to get tough for anybody sooner or later at some point in somebody's life. And it doesn't matter how poor you are, how rich you are. Yeah, you could be the president of the United States. You could be like a street sweeper on like a on the street. or you could be like a McDonald's worker. Um, life is going to get tough for anybody, at certain parts of their life. And one of the thing that's helped me the most in these last 3 years has by far been the people that are close to me. People that are um, I feel like I can rely on, that I can talk to when I feel down. Just like they might not have a solution, but just having like an ear to lend, and just knowing that there's people that they care about me and they want me to be better, do better, telling me that things are going to be okay. um, that's huge. That's huge. And I don't think that's something that money can buy. uh, like my younger brother, he worked at a before he got into med school. um, he's at med school in Connecticut right now. um, he was working as a I think as a paramedic or something like that. He was trying to get in med school and stuff. And then part of his job, he would go into these like a lot of retirement homes for like old people, of course. And of course, he went to like kind of like low tier, mid tier, and high tier retirement homes. And then he would also go into like people's personal homes, in which case like they were these like super rich old people, and they have like personal caretakers in their house, helping them out and everything. But like from what he told me and everything, it's like even the best retirement homes, you're paying like exorbitant amounts of like money, these top tier retirement homes, or you're hiring somebody to take care of you in your home. They're still not anywhere close. You could have the best caretaker in the world, but at the end of the day, to those caretakers, um, it's their job. It's their job to take care of you. It's their, they're in it for a paycheck, right? And they don't get the paycheck, they're not going to be there the next day to take care of you, right? That's the reality of it. And so, um, a lot of people in these retirement homes are old, and they're rich, but they're lonely, and they're suffering in like a very, like a very desperate way, like a quiet desperation type of thing, right? And so that's one of the big reasons for me why I want to have like a big family. I want to have like a lot of kids, as many kids as I can have, right? Like one big happy family, because like I've always wanted to have a lot of kids, but I think these last 3 years of tough times too, it's made me really realize, like, when I'm going through tough times, and I need a like the thing that's helped me the most is talking with people that are close to me, that care about me. Um, my if I call my mom, if I call my dad, if I call my brother, anybody like that, if I call my ex-wife, and I'm sure when I like if I when Ari is old enough, if I call Ari, no hesitation, they'll pick up the phone. They'll tell me like, "Hey, everything is gonna be okay," and they're not doing it for the paycheck. They'll call back and they'll see how I am. Money, no money. Um, they're gonna care. If things were so terrible for me anywhere in the world, any corner of the world, they'd drop everything in an instant and come over to me and help me out without a second of notice or a second of hesitation. So it's like the people that are close to you, the relationships that you build. Um, those are the things that matter the most in life. Um, outside of just being healthy, right? If you're healthy, you have people that care about you. That's by far, I think, one of them. I think those two things are some of the most important things in life. Um, like I had like I've been having a little bit of a tough time in the last little bit. And I'll tell you what, it's like, having some people reach out to me, like, students that I used to teach, they go like, hey, Mr. Lee, uh, shit's gonna be okay, right? So, small things like that. That's, that makes you feel better than I think any, or at least for me it does, than any sort of like $1,000 that you could put in my pocket. Being able to know that on this planet Earth, right now, there are people that care for you and want you to be better. And I don't think that's a feeling that money can buy. Maybe some a little bit more of extra life advice. Every time it gets to the last day of school, when I teach, the students, I like to give them a little bit of life advice that hopefully make people happy. I talked about, of course, being healthy and having good relationships, or building good relationships with, the people closest to you. I think one of the reasons why I have good relationships with people is because my personality is I like to make other people happy. You know, I think if you have the personality type of um, making other people happy, then it's you're gonna obviously have good relationships. Because here's the thing, in in life, I think the following statement is true. Ultimately, when you make other people happy, the person that ends up the happiest is going to be yourself in the end. Like some way, somehow. When you make other people happy, right? Then it's you're going to be the happiest person yourself sooner or later. So, but anyways, oh, I see some coworkers actually. Hold on. Hey, how's it going? Good, good, good. I'm just walking around, just making a vlog right now. Oh, sorry? No, 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 I've been here the entire time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, this is
Hi,
my
how are
wife.
you?
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks,
All right, just when we're going out.
Okay, yeah, have a good one.
What are
Yeah.
you doing?
I'm just vlogging. I'm just vlogging right now.
So cool.
Oh, thank you.
Bye,
Bye. Yeah, you too. Just saw some coworkers. He works at the same school that I do, so we live in the same community. Nice dude, nice guy. He's from South Africa. Yeah, South Africa. So, but anyways, um, when you make other people happy, the person that ends up the happiest is yourself. Whether that's because of some sort of um, mathematical thing, right? Mathematical transaction that, hey, when you give to other people, they, it's like a trade to yourself. But I don't think it's like that. I think genuinely, my personality, I really do like to make other people happy. You know, the people, especially people that deserve it, people that deserve it in life. I like to, make other people happy, and I don't expect anything in return. Um, just because good people deserve good things in life. Yeah, good people deserve good things in life. Uh, I know I'm rambling. I'm going on in this video. Again, this is like a 30-minute video. I don't think I'm going to edit it or anything like that. Um, but I'm talking to the camera, walking around the community because this is like therapeutic for me, right? This is therapeutic for me, and I think it's going to be really interesting to watch back, in years down the line when I can look back at kind of like a low period of my life. These last 3 years, especially these last especially the last I'd say 1 to 2. Last 1 to 2 from now to the last 2 years have been definitely the toughest part of my life. Um, have definitely been by far been the toughest part of my life. But hope when I look back at this, healthy again, um, happy again, um, that I can look back and just have a good laugh at it, and realize that it was just this period of my life is what made me strong in the end, really. I know the last time that I felt not so good, over 10 years ago, my late teens and early 20s, it made me much stronger, but this time is much tougher. It made me much tougher. So, hey, yeah, it made me much tougher. So, this time, it'll be the same, but I think to a much greater extent because this time is much much tougher than in my late teens and early 20s. Mainly because now as an older adult, you're dealing with more adult problems. You're dealing with big You're dealing with the big boy problems, right? More importantly, though, even the big boy problems aren't really so big boy. The big boy problem is like being chronically in pain. That's what sucks. But that's what's going to make me like more mature. And the thing I'm very blessed about is I know it's going to get better. It just takes a hell of a long time, and I just don't know when. The thing is that it has gotten better. Oh, also, in case you were wondering, like who I was talking to earlier, every morning, and so let me show you. This big building right behind me is my apartment building. Um, every morning, there are like two like middle-aged old ladies that like to like do Tai Chi really early in the morning. They get up at like they probably like 5:30, 5 o'clock, and they start doing Tai Chi probably like geez 6, maybe for like an hour or two. Um, it's a really cool sight to see. Um, when my mom came over like over a month ago to come see me here in Ningbo, um, she joined them to do Tai Chi every morning. So, it's awesome. It's really cool. Friendly, nice old ladies. They're Bendiran or native people here of OG people here in Ningbo, the city of Ningbo. It's pretty cool to see. So, but anyways, guys, 31 minutes. I probably should stop the video here, but I don't feel like it. I need to, I just need to talk. And this is therapeutic for me. It's like it's nice for me to like makes me feel better. In fact, today and even yesterday, I feel better than I definitely feel better than when I came out with that a moment of vulnerability vlog. So this helps. This definitely helps. Um, let's see, what else can I talk about? What else can I talk about? I don't know. Let's see, what else can I talk about? I have no idea what else to say. Let's see. Here's a good one. I think this is going to be a pretty good one. Let me talk about what makes a good teacher. How about that? What makes a good teacher? Um, a lot of people, both here in China and in the United States, they're surprised when I tell them that I like teaching. And, I like teaching, and I like being around teenagers. I like teaching high school. I'm sorry, guys. Like, if for those of you guys that like to teach, elementary or middle school, more power to you. I can't do that, man. I like high school. I like connecting with like teenagers and young adults. Um, but why do I like teaching, right? You know, back in the USA, as well, ever since I would tell people that I was going to be a teacher or that I am a teacher, the reaction I would get from everybody would be like, "Really? That's what you want to do? Are you sure?" You know, when I'm a teacher here in China, I tell people that I'm a teacher, right? The reaction I get is like, it's not like, "Are you sure?" But they do have a different response. They go like, "You're in it for the money, right? You're in it for the money." Because the thing is, I teach in an international school, and international schools for people who are not born and raised in China, for a lot of expats, you know, proportional to people in China, they make a butt fuck ton of money. So like to the people who natively here in China, when they see like, hey, there's like a foreign teacher, and I don't consider myself foreign, right? I'm Chinese, but I was born and raised outside, the United States. And I consider myself both American and Chinese. But when when Chinese people like ask me, it's like, oh, what? Like, I had a student actually ask me, it's like, hey, Li Lao or Mr. Lee, why are you so happy all the time when you teach? You're like one of the happy. You're always happy. You have like this switch in your brain, and it's just like you're like a happy dog, a happy puppy all the time. And then he instantly goes, must be because you make a lot of money, huh? Must be because you make a lot of money or you have a lot of time off. Because relative to like the native Chinese teachers here, expat teachers at international schools, they have it a lot more chill, generally speaking. Um, but that's not why I like being a teacher. It's like um, in China, I don't do it at all for the money. Not even a little bit. Not even 0.0001%. I'm not going to say no to the money, and obviously, I need to live a comfortable life, right? I have to live a comfortable life, but I don't do it at all for the money. Back in the United States, I never did it for like any prestige. I never did it. I don't do teaching or anything like that for prestige or money. In the United States, all the other teachers in the United States, you'll know the teachers, we don't make very much money. So anybody in the United States who says I'm a public high school teacher for the money is, like, I mean, that's a joke in and of itself, right? But that's not why I'm a teacher. I teach because um, I really enjoy it. I like being in front of the class. I like cracking jokes. Um, I like that I like cracking jokes. I like being in front of the class. But more importantly, you know, here's what makes a good teacher, man. Here's what makes a good teacher. I became a teacher because ever since the time I was like maybe about 16 years old, I had this thought in the back of my head. I was like, you know what? If I can't find a career, if I can't find something that I love to do or something I like to do, then I guess I'll just be a teacher. Because in the back of my mind, like I always enjoyed being in like high school. And why did I enjoy being in high school? I hated the homework, because it was so busy. Because I grew up in mainly like a um, um, Chinese American community, so it was extremely competitive, and the work was crazy. We stayed up, super super late every midnight. You know, oh yeah, like staying up past midnight studying. It was like miserable, being sleep deprived. But I always enjoyed the most being around my friends, having a sense of like camaraderie with other students, and having that sense of schedule. And I miss that. So like in the back of my mind, I was always like, if I can't figure out what I want to do for a career in the back of career, I guess I'll just be a high school teacher, right? And I never really thought about it very much until like I was lost in my late teens and early 20s trying to figure out what I wanted to do in my life. And then just um, that idea of I would be a high school teacher, just popped up, and I decided to do that. And the thing is, in my teens, when I was in high school, in my late teens and early 20s, I felt very lost in life, trying to figure myself out, doing a lot of odd jobs, and it was a tough time for me. And the way I wished, what I felt was, hey, I wish there was that one person, or not even one person. I wish there was someone in my life, like of course, then there was there were my parents, there were other people who were close to me, but at the same time, I still felt if there was somebody in my life that could have given me some sort of like guidance or life advice, or tell me about how life would be, the real struggles, right, of life, when you become an adult, and give me some sort of like guidance in life, practical guidance, right? Not like, I'll go to this university or that university, but like navigate as a person, as a character, how to like, get through life. Um, I think that would have made my life a lot easier, and I think I'm in a very good place now, right? But, if there was like one person who could have been able to like, you know, point me and guide me in a good direction, I think I would have like suffered less than I did, So like the reason I became a teacher is because like outside of cracking jokes in front of the class, outside of just really loving to really like teach, like actually teach the content, I actually really enjoy it, right? Outside of just that, my philosophy is, if there was something I said, if there was something that I did, if there was like a way of being that I was, right, um, that has a positive impact on like a kiddo's life, um, because something I said, or just because of the way I was. To me, if I can even just make one person's life better or easier because of that, to me that's why I became a teacher. To me, that's a monumental success. Like when I go to school as a teacher, I'm not just saying this, right? I'm not just saying this to sound like arrogant, but like I think I'm an excellent teacher. And when I show up to the class, I'm really, really, as long as the students are there, I'm always very happy, very optimistic. There have been times when I was like, teaching in the last, like 5 years, where, I come to work sick. There's like, a sick, there's like a problem with like a relationship, or like, you're like, sleep deprived, or like you're just there's like personal stuff going on, or work, politics, or whatever that's going on. But as long as the students were there, you know, it didn't matter what happened in the previous days or during that day. I always, like looked forward really to going to work as long as the students were there in the classroom and I got to teach. And you know, when the students see that, when they see that you're, really, you come to work, you show up in their day, and you're really like a ball of just optimism, right? And not like a fake way, but like a real, genuine way that you really look forward to life, and you really enjoy life, and that you yourself, you're trying to like improve yourself in your life. So like whether that's physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever, right? If they can see that you look forward to life despite the hardships, like as a student, right? I can imagine as a student, I would like to be that person who, when that kid grows up, or not even grows up, even when they're in school, kids go through hard times too when they're teenagers. They might be going through some really hard shit, maybe some shit that's even harder than me right now. Um, Whether that's but that kiddo might think back, like, hey, um, Mr. Lee was always like happy. Mr. Lee was like was still fighting, still trying to make his life better, even though he had a bad day, even though he went through some like really tough thing. Mr. Lee still works hard. Mr. Lee still is happy. Mr. Lee is still like um, he's still like this type of person. To me, that kiddo might think like, if Mr. Lee can do it, why can't I? Mr. Lee can do it. Why can't I? If Mr. Lee is that type of person to fight for a better life, if Mr. Lee is the type of person to like uh, fight when times are hard, if Mr. Lee is that type of person to push himself to make his life better, if Mr. Lee is that type of character, so like care about the things that really matter in life, why can't I? You know, because that's what I needed. That's what I needed when I was in high school. That's what I needed when I was like uh, in my late teens and early 20s. It's like I'm in a good place now. Like of course I'm like having a hard time, but I've really matured as a person through life experience. Like all that stuff, realizing like what matters in life. But it took me like a long time of like going through hardship in order to get that, in order to understand that. So yeah, um, that's what makes a good teacher, right? It's like I enjoy cracking jokes. I enjoy teaching the content. Um, but that's not why I'm a teacher. As funny as it sounds, I'm not there as a teacher for teaching the content, right? Even though that's literally my job. For me, why I'm a teacher is because I want to teach kids, and I want to teach people, especially teenagers, because teenagers are there. That's the time, in my opinion, that they're not just the most impressionable, but they're in this time period of being, they're still innocent. They're still a blank canvas, but they're adult-like in the sense that they want to be something in life. Um, if I can be that person for, like, if I can be that positive impact on a person, if I can teach them, you know, the attitude, and the character to be in life, right? Not just the content that I teach, like literally, not just economics or English or AP Human Geography or whatever I literally teach, but if I can teach them really what makes people happy and successful in life, like hard work, like optimism, like valuing your relationships, like staying healthy, right? If I can like teach things like that to the kiddos. If I can teach kids to keep fighting, keep grinding when life gets hard, um, to me, that's why I wanted to be a teacher. I enjoy cracking jokes. I enjoy, like doing all types of crazy shit as a teacher for kids. Of course, I enjoy that. That's part of what makes the job so fun. But that's not the main reason I became a teacher. Sometimes the students when I was in school, I'm sorry, not school, when I was teaching at the schools, not to toot my own horn, but I was the cool teacher, right? I'm self-aware enough to know that I was like the cool ass teacher. But it's like I could do a lot of cool things, like whether those were calisthenics or gymnastic things, all sorts of like cool activities and games for the kids, and those are all cool things. But really, that's not what makes me really popular as a teacher. Because from my experience teaching, like if that's all you have, if you're just the cool teacher in the sense that you like let the kids like dick around in class, or you just only ever let the kids like play around with games, or you just you want to be cool for the sake of being cool, um, you're not going to be a successful teacher. You're going to be known as the teacher that just let the kids have a blow off class, right? And then the kids respect you most because of the things I said. You want to teach them to be better people. When they can feel that you care at that level, that's where you really become the real cool teacher. When they feel that you care, that you try, and that you care for them, that's when you really become the really cool teacher. Whether or not you can do cool gymnastics or calisthenic skills in class, whether or not you can come up with like a fun activity in class, you're the cool teacher when they can see you try and you care for them, and you want to make an impact in somebody's life for the better. You know, yeah. I only got like maybe 3-4 minutes left of empty footage on my phone because I'm running out of space on my phone, so I got to end this pretty quick. This is gonna be a really long video, guys. So I apologize, but if you're still here, listening to what I say, kudos to you. You have maybe more patience than I do. But if there's something I said today that can help one of y'all out, it's like, again, I'm really glad that I could. And again, this is therapeutic for me. This is like when I'm feeling down and I get to talk, it helps me out. And if it can help you, somebody else out there in this world, whether or not you know me, I'm really glad that I'm able to help. Um, but yeah, like that's why I wanted to be a teacher in life, man. It's like whether it's in China or the United States, that's why I wanted to be a teacher. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter what country you're in. That trait will make you a good teacher anywhere. I've taught in the United States, multiple schools. I've taught here in China now, and I'm a strong teacher in both places. And it's not because of I work hard in order to understand the content, of course. But but if you have that sense of care and you want to make a difference in a kiddo's life, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you're going to be a good teacher. Really, you're willing to, like that's the thing that you care about the most. You're going to be a good teacher. You know? Yeah. How much time we got? We got literally 1 minute. Yeah, like 1 minute, 2 minutes left of before I run out of space on my phone. I got to end things quick. But let's see. Here, how about I give you guys a quick swing? Cool, right? Nice apartment. Nice apartment complex. Yeah. Anyways, guys, I probably should end things here. I have to end things here. Um, my phone's about to run out of space. I'll like transfer it to my micro SD card so I have like more space on my phone. Let's see if yeah, like yeah. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.